Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for clicking. That means that you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And this 44 cast is just a lot to deal with at once. There's a lot to get to. I've gone through the cast, their EW bios, and there's a lot that I have to say. I have some notes here, and I'm really just gonna talk. I think this cast, unlike 43, seems very questionable. With 43, you felt like going in, you at least had an okay season, but was it going to be like that extra good season? With this season, this cast could either be horrible or amazing. You really never know. So without further ado, let's look at this cast. Of course, if you haven't already, like, share, do all that good stuff because it's free, it's easy, and it really helps the channel out. Okay, so my first notes are actually about the duds, the people who I think are absolute trash casting choices. Just 3 wastes of a casting spot. There's 3 people out there who would be much better. In fact, there's probably 300. The first one being Lauren. She's a single mom. That's kind of her thing. And the only thing really of note here is that she wants to play the game like Erica. So, yeah, you can kind of tell why she's a dud here. Heidi, for me, the kicker was that she used Latinx to describe people of Latin descent, which just shows you how idiotic she is. And Maddie, there's literally nothing. She has nothing here. The most important thing from her entire bio is that she's dating a hot guy from NYU. So take that as you will. Let's get into the actual cast, the people who are actually going to be fun TV. Okay, the first person I have is Matt. He seems really, really likable and honest. I mean, he seems like a guy that I could relate to. He does have a bit of a weird, kind of quirky personality, but not super nerdy. He's definitely more on the relatable side. I think that's why he got on the cast. He talks about his failures in his bio. He doesn't seem to be afraid of his past, or he doesn't really seem like he's hiding things, which is good. You want a person on a show like this to be forthcoming with information. Hopefully for him, it's not in the game that he is. The next person for me is Carolyn. She seems like a very loud and big personality, possibly a first boot. Again, I don't really see much added for me here. She seems like she was cast for her story, which we'll kind of touch on later, but I feel like, to me, she doesn't really add much strategically. She's definitely here for her personality. And she kind of speaks to how strategically weak this cast is on some fronts, whereas on other fronts, this cast can be super strong. Specifically with the women, this cast is very weak strategically, with only a few of them really carrying the rest. The next person is Yam Yam. I'm gonna start calling him Drag Queen because he talks about how he does drag for Halloween. I don't know. He seems like a decent guy. We saw him in the trailer. He seems to be a big character for sure. I don't really know how much he's gonna add to the cast as far as, again, strategy goes. He's probably the weakest male cast on this season, and that says something for how good the casting is male-wise on this cast. He seems like a fun guy who doesn't really have much bad to him. Hopefully he's not woke. That's kind of my only worry. But besides that, he does seem like not the worst casting choice in the world, and definitely someone who's going to add to the season. And I could see him causing conflict. We'll just have to see. Danny Massa, for me, is my favorite. There's not one word about his race, religion, gender, nothing. He came to play and that's it. It's kind of sad that that's considered special nowadays, but that's just kind of how it is. He's an NYC firefighter, which reminds me of Tom Westman. Again, a really likable guy. One of his pet peeves is whining, which is just so based. This guy just has based written all over him. I really like him as a choice for this cast, and I do think we need more people like him. Carson, the next person, kind of a fruity guy. I really don't know if he's gay or not. I don't know. It really doesn't matter, but he seems like the person. Everyone's talking about him. He's the fan favorite. He seems like a very sharp guy, and I think most people can see that from his bio, and that's why he's getting a lot of fan reception here on Twitter and Reddit. It really seems like he's a really, really smart guy. He works for NASA. He talks about that a lot. He really reminds me of Christian, and he actually points that out in his little bio. So if he can do that, I think it's very, very important. Like, if Carson can be that Christian character, we're in for a very, very good season. If not really as much. Bruce. To me, Bruce is a really square guy, which is fine. There kind of has to be one on every cast, just a very normal person. The hope is that there isn't, another Bruce on this cast, or several of them, because you can really only have one square, just normal regular person on the cast, maybe 2, but to have the whole cast be that would be pretty boring. Overall, Bruce, again, he talks about his family and how he looks up to Jeremy for being a family man. Again, this guy's just very square, very run of the mill. Sarah reminds me of Ellie from last season, a social game player. Really, the question for me is, can she keep her threat level down? Which Ellie could not do, right? She had Gabler coming after her at the merge, and Gabler did a great job of convincing everyone that she's a big threat, partly because of her own actions. And so I think she'll play, again, just like Ellie, a great social game in the pre-merge. It's just a matter of if she can manage it, unlike how Ellie did not do last season. Matthew, he's the gay man bun guy, but I actually like him because he doesn't make his sexuality his whole personality. He's super chill. He's not talking about how I'm a gay man, blah blah. He doesn't seem very flamboyant. He seems just like a normal dude. He talks about his hobbies, and again, it's just a very normal guy, very digestible character. And I really think this is also great casting. Helen. Before I read her bio, obviously I compared her to Erica at first glance, and of course I was right, because guess who she identifies herself with in the game? It's Erica, and that's just, isn't that just great, To me, Josh has potential to be a big character, but then of course I read his bio, and it says, quote, "I want to be a part of Survivor to prove to myself and any other little gay black boy or girl that you can do anything that you put your mind to. Like, you're not real, bro. You have to be an AI or something." Like, who says that? That actually made me cringe in my seat when I read that. Jamie is your typical mom archetype. The reason that she's not a dud here is because I think she's casted purely for her personality. I can see her personality coming out and her rubbing people the wrong way, which will make good TV. I can see her playing extremely poorly, and if I had to put my money on a first boot, I could definitely see it being Jamie for sure. She just gives me like those weird like Reem vibes from Edge of Extinction. Just not a good person, socially not a good person, strategy-wise, and also not really a good person physically. So again, we'll see. Kane really gives me beta male vibes. He reminds me of Owen, but just like Owen, it's possible that he could end up being tolerable on the show. He comes across nerdy for sure, talking about Dungeons and Dragons in his interview, but I really don't mind it. He's also from Canada, which is obviously to note because Canada people have a really good chance on the show as far as the stats go, with both 41 and 42 being won by Canadians. Again, I think this guy could really be fun, or he could be really annoying, depending on if his beta male kind of takes over his own personality. Franny, I really get Aubrey vibes here. She's a cerebral type. She's probably going to make the merge here. I'd be shocked if she didn't. The question is, will she keep her target level down? Will she make moves? But, I don't know. It's just like, is she really going to win? I don't know. She doesn't really seem to have that it factor, although she does remind me of Sophie Clark from South Pacific. So we'll see. I don't know. It's very iffy with Franny. And lastly, Brandon. He's a former NFL player, and he really reminds me of Danny, of which he actually compares himself to. But definitely a much better casting, it seems like, than Danny, who was much more quiet. I could see Brandon really coming out as a fun personality, probably a big blind side on this season. I just really can't see him winning here. Overall, my thoughts are as follows. Okay, first, the issues. So I do think this season has potential to be woke. You have a few people who are clearly woke in their real life. Hopefully they don't take it onto the cast. 43 did good. Let's not ruin this streak that we have going. 2, no giant personality sticks out aside from maybe a Carson. Like, you don't need like that big Tony or Christian or Russell Hantz type of personality, but it's very nice to have, and I don't really see it here aside from, again, maybe Carson. To me, the sob story casting choices are an issue. Again, there's Sarah's dead best friend, Carolyn, and her drug addiction. There's Lauren being a single mother. There's Josh being born with a deformity. Notice how I did not mention any of these because the video would be way too long if I actually got into these when I was mentioning the person and talking about them. Also, there's no possible conflict that pops out to me, which is fine. The conflict that doesn't need to be like Francesca and Philip obvious, but we do need some conflict, so let's hope for that to go well. Also, I do think the passive gameplay could be an issue, with a lot of female duds being in this cast. There's about 3 or 4 that I'm just like, are they even going to be there? And if so, are they actually going to play the game? Because they seem to just be kind of in La La Land, which means the men might have to carry this season strategically. So yeah, overall this cast is a lot to deal with. I can't really call it absolutely absolutely horrible, but I can't also really call it amazing. Tell me what you think down below in the comments, and let me know what videos you want leading up to Survivor 44. And that's, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.